Hey everyone, Savvy Social Worker. I have been getting a lot of requests to do a video on the differences between the presenting problem and the priority problem and how to identify and distinguish them. So that's what this video is going to be about. So I first would like to start by just kind of establishing that they are kind of one and the same, but there is a distinct difference, especially when taking the ASWB exam. Okay, so a presenting problem, of course, normally when I ask people what that means, they give me the definition. Oh, that's the reason why the client is there, which is correct. What the client is there for, what the client is presenting with, their initial issue. So the presenting problem is a description of the issue for which the client needs help. In other words, why the client is there. Okay, but then we have a priority issue. And the priority issue is the most critical issue that the client is presenting that needs to be addressed as priority, like right here, right now. What is the priority? Okay, because the ASWB exam wants you to pick your answer based on the priority problem, not just the presenting problem. And simply, that just means that normally we'll have some clients that come to us with multiple presenting problems. They'll come to us with more than one thing going on at a time, and we are not able to solve all their problems at once, so we have to prioritize them. And that's the same expectation on the exam. Usually when you are trying to prioritize a client's problems or issues, then you want to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if a client comes to you saying that, she's coming to you for issues with anger or depression or anxiety, let's just say that this client is coming to you, her presenting problem is anxiety. But then when you get in the intake and you start gathering information, you determine that she just lost her home and she's sleeping in her car with her newborn baby. Well, now this becomes the priority issue because according to the hierarchy of needs, this takes precedence. This could also be the cause of why she is experiencing the anxiety, because she doesn't know where she's going to live with her newborn baby. So that's just a brief example of the difference between the presenting problem and the priority problem. I started off teaching presenting problem until I realized that, hey, everyone, when I ask what's your definition of it, everyone says the same thing, which is correct. But then I, later on figured out that for the ASWB exam, they want a little bit more than that. We have to be able to prioritize our clients' problems. So I do have a little brief example that I put here together that is going to illustrate that. So let's get into it. A social worker meets a new client who is having issues connecting with her husband, who was recently released from prison after 5 years. The client states that she is feeling extremely stressed due to struggling with assisting him to reintegrate into society, and he gets very frustrated with her because he is unable to find employment. What should the social worker do first? Okay, so we are realizing that this is the first question, so that simply just tells me that we are going to be focusing on the most important thing that we need to do about the client's priority issue. So I'm looking at here and it's telling me that the social worker, first of all, is meeting with a new client. So that tells me I am in the beginning phase of the helping process. And so that means I am either engaging in or assessing this client. So the answer that I choose is going to have to reflect the phase of the process that I'm in. So we're meeting with this new client and she's having issues connecting with her husband. Okay. And her husband was recently released from prison after 5 years. So that sounds like my presenting problem because that's why she's there. She's meeting with this new client who's having issues connecting with her husband. Okay. The client states that she is feeling extremely stressed due to struggling with assisting him to reintegrate into society, and he gets frustrated with her because he is unable to find employment. Now, the priority issue, again, is the most critical issue. that the client is presenting in the moment, here and now, that needs to be addressed. And so, yes, she's here because she's having issues connecting with her husband, but the priority here is that she is feeling extremely stressed, okay, due to struggling with assisting him to reintegrate into society. And he gets very frustrated with her because he's having a hard time finding a job. So the most important thing that we will want to do is to address the client's feelings of being extremely stressed, okay? So that would look different if we were, I guess, going at it from addressing the fact that she's having issues connecting with her husband. So this is what makes a difference when you are answering these questions, because the answer you choose has to be based off of the priority problem, okay? So you have to first off know whether or not you are identifying, the correct problem in order to pick the correct answer. So this is why a lot of people get confused, or they can't understand, why they're missing the questions that they're feeling like that they got right. Sometimes you can get them right if let's say if you're answering, if this is the problem and you pick the most important thing that you're going to do for the fact that she's having issues connecting with her husband, then yes, you are right. But if that's not the priority problem, then that's why you get the answer wrong. So in this case, again, we're looking for the first and our most important thing that we're going to do about this new client that we're just meeting with, who is expressing to you that she's feeling extremely stressed, okay? So would the most important thing we do be to advise the client to give her husband time for things to normalize? Well, I don't think that's going to address the priority problem, which is her feeling extremely stressed. That is going to probably address the fact that she's having issues with him, but it's definitely not going to address her stress, so we're going to eliminate that one. Option B, would the most important thing for us to do be to allow the client to express her feelings about the situation? Well, that's definitely a possibility because the client says that she is feeling extremely stressed. So we might want to explore a little bit more into that, especially because she's a new client and we are in the engagement phase of the process, engagement and gathering information phase, the assessment phase. So we're definitely going to pause that. C, would the most important thing be to ask to meet the husband to assist with reintegration? Okay, so the client is feeling extremely stressed due to struggling with him, with assisting him to reintegrate. So asking to meet with the husband to assist with that is something that we could possibly do maybe later down the line, but that is not the most important thing right now. The most important thing right now in the moment, in the here and now, is that the client that is here with me right now is telling me that she feels extremely stressed. So I'm not going to prioritize the husband, and the wife right now is my client. So I am going to eliminate C for that reason. Option D, would the most important thing be to refer the client and spouse for marital counseling? Is that going to address the priority issue? The fact that the client states that she is feeling extremely stressed? No, it will not. But again, if you were focusing on the presenting problem, which is why she was there, because she's having issues connecting with her husband, then referring them to marital counseling would probably be the first and most important thing you do. So if you would have chose that answer because you were focusing on the presenting problem, yes, you would be right. But then you would be wrong because that's not the priority. The priority is not her connecting with her husband. The priority is her feeling extremely stressed. And she's telling me that right now in the session, okay? So the answer for this one would definitely be B. B is the most important thing. We want to allow the client to express her feelings about the situation. Again, because we are in that phase of the helping process. So gaining a better understanding to the situation is the first action the social worker should take with a new client who is expressing stress. Asking to meet with a spouse and making a referral for marital counseling may both be reasonable actions, but only after the situation has been discussed with the client. Advising the client to give her husband time is missing the client's concerns and could possibly harm the rapport building with the new client because we are in the engagement phase. Hope this helps. Y'all